Hello friends, and welcome to the next video. In this video we're going to talk about why drumming pedagogy is in big trouble. So we've all seen these people on YouTube and whatever other social media apps showing material that is incredibly wrong and frankly quite pitiful. How did this happen, okay? And how does this happen? I think part of the problem is the whole capitalistic way of thinking when it comes to education, drumming education, and the loss of the tradition in drumming of being under someone's wing, of being an apprentice, okay? Being an apprentice in drumming is super rich in other cultures, in India, whatever, Africa. You know, being an apprentice under a master drummer or something, you know, if you want to call it that, is a beautiful thing that not only teaches you about drumming, but about human relationships. It allows you to expand as a human being, while learning simply out of a book is not the same thing by far. Okay, so what has happened? I want to show you something that every author knows. I'm sure you know that I've written many books, and this is something that all people that are authors kind of know, even not in drumming books, in books in general. You know, how do people write and what are their motives? So I'm going to show you something that's very important. Now, this is kind of a grid, okay? You'll notice the triangle, the bottom is much wider than the top, okay? So let's say around here, this area represents beginning drummers, okay? This whole area, beginning drummers. You can see that this is the biggest market there is for drumming books, okay? Let's say this is the whole drumming market, the things that people write for, all right? Beginning drummers is the biggest chunk. Why? Because that's the way it is. A lot of people pick up drums as a hobby. You know, they love drums, they want to play. And kids and stuff like that, a lot of kids start playing drums for fun and stuff like that. So the biggest market is beginning drummers, all right? You want to write for that? There's money in that because it's the biggest market. That's simple. All right, now, the next level you have is intermediate guys, okay? Intermediate players. Intermediate players are guys that have passed the beginning stage and are starting to get more serious about drumming. However, you can see that's a much smaller market. So books for these guys are a lot more rare. Okay, so what happens in many instances, you know, you'll take a book like Ted Reed's Syncopation, for example. That was a book meant for reading syncopation. What a lot of teachers have done is turn that book into a million different things. A million things that you can do with that book, okay? That's not the intention of that book. It's to learn about reading and syncopation. But since there's less material for these guys, you know, a lot of things have to be reinvented. A lot of guys take this material here and reinvent it for these guys, you know. What's the material around here? Like the very basic, you know, beginning stuff or rudiments. Beats, you know, drum beats. Wow, learn the beats from your favorite song, you know, whatever, right? Rudiments, beats, the basic stuff, real basic stuff. A lot of people take this, rehash it, repackage it for these guys, okay? A little more complicated or whatever. But it's essentially the same thing, all right? Now, here we have pros, okay? Pros, working drummers, guys that are working, all right? They're on tour, They're doing shows, they're in bands, they're working drummers. They play casuals, weddings, they play concerts, they have their own thing happening. They're working pros, okay? These guys already done all this work and they need very specialized material if they want to learn something new, okay? These guys, they want to learn something new. They're probably going to do a lot of research because they've been diligent enough to, be pros, okay? So they're not going to be buying all this stuff. The market for them is even smaller in educational material, all right? They can spot this stuff right away. If it's rehashed for these guys, that book's already been done a million times. But people keep writing it because they try to aim for this and this, thinking that it's something new because they inverted a paradiddle or whatever. It's nothing new, all right? These guys have to do a lot of research on their own, or maybe even go to a different country, all right, to immerse themselves in the culture and learn that way, because there's nothing being written for them, really. They already have this whole thing. So the biggest market, dollars, down here. The next is intermediate players. These guys hardly buy anything, or if they do, maybe they buy it for their own practice, their own studio, drumming studio, teaching and whatever. Now up here, you have the top players, okay? The most famous guys, the top players, doing all the sessions, all the big gigs, big tours, whatever. These guys don't pay for anything, okay? Those guys get everything sent to them for free. Cymbals, drums, books, all the time, free. They're never gonna pay for anything. So who's writing for these guys? Nobody, right? Now, since this is the biggest market, and this is the second biggest, we have a constant regurgitation of the same thing over and over. What happens now is that this material is hardly ever seen. And the guys that need these guys that need that, forget it. They're very little resources. They have to same as these guys kind of, they're on their own, man. They have to find stuff on their own. They have to go to Africa or wherever, Cuba or Brazil, and find out what's going on their own, because nothing is being written properly for that market. So what happens is this: you have this feedback loop, okay, of this information here. And what happens is most cats don't have mentors. Most cats are not working drummers. So they get to a certain level and they think, well, I'm good enough. I can do whatever. I can start teaching. Never even having been a pro, never even having to be put in professional situations where they are pushed to the very limits of their ability, or having to learn new things because they have to work in different areas in different parts of the world, things like that. They have never been pushed to do that. So they constantly regurgitate this material, which they think is the only thing about drumming, right? Because that's all they've seen, okay? So what happens? The next guys come up and this is all they see. And so they start teaching that too. And the drumming gets lower and lower and lower and dumber until we are at the point now where we have the famous Carrasca guy teaching about Roomba, on the Village Idiot's website. It's astounding to me that somebody could have no face like that, no honor, no respect for the art form or for themselves or for anyone else for that matter, and be putting out stuff like that. All right? Now, okay, you understand why you have to get a mentor now, perhaps. Okay, you cannot depend on people like this who are only in it for money to get this audience. All right, these guys are out there working, and they soon realize, oh my God, what have I been doing? Now I have to like hurry up and catch up to all this, material. Like I said before, any kind of music that is dramatically super profound, jazz, Afro-Cuban, Brazilian, Persian music, any kind of African, it's never ending, okay? It never ends. No one is the master of drums. No one is the groove master. Nobody can be that ever, because drumming is too expansive. You can have a guy that's the master of jazz, but he's not going to be the master of Balkan music because he's never played that, all right? So you can be great at one thing and completely suck at another, and that's what the pros realize, okay? And they have to play catch up, and they're completely out of this whole thing. So you get this constant feedback loop of mediocrity, beginning material, and that's what the younger guys, they think that's all there is, because they don't even know these guys personally. You might see them on YouTube, but they don't know the battles. They don't know what they had to go through to break their ass to get to that level. They have no clue. All they see is on video chops and means totally zero, okay? You cannot be dependent on this system, all right? You need a mentor. You need a mentor to guide you through this incredibly difficult thing that is this instrument. This instrument is not a career. This instrument is a quest, okay? There's a big, big difference. It's not like you go into accounting and you're an accountant. This never ends. It's art. It's a deep, profound thing. It's a quest. It's not a career, it's a quest, all right? Maybe you've made it a career because you stopped at a certain level, you're happy with playing, whatever, okay. You're making money, living your life, fine. But I think you're selling yourself short as a pro to not grow constantly, because I've seen it happen, a million times. I'm old, I've seen it happen a million times that guys are playing and after 15 years of playing professionally, man, I'd like to learn something else. And they try to learn it. It's like, oh my God, this is going to take years, right? And they don't have the time anymore, okay? So it's important to stay humble, to stay open, and to get to hear. I'm not talking about guys that are famous because he played with, Bella, whatever her name is. I'm talking about top pros, okay? Vinny, Dave, whoever, the top pros, okay? Those guys are always open to information. I've never seen a top pro that is like, I don't need to learn that, right? That's ridiculous. So not knowing them, this is what you get, this constant feedback loop of mediocrity. And then the young guys think that that's all there is to drumming. They've never heard of cumbia. They've never heard of Persian music or Greek music. They've never heard of seftatelli. They've never heard of, and they think that this is all that what drumming is. So they get on YouTube. Yeah, I'm a pro. Like I'm going to show you, how to do it. It's just pathetic and sad. So as teachers, you need to instill, in my opinion, that drumming is huge. Not because you're a teacher, because you're a human being, and this is art, okay? And you want to contribute to that person, you can't just show them paradiddles. You have to show them the depth and the beauty so that they can become better human beings and in turn, better drummers, okay? So, this is the commercial pedagogy grid of books and drumming educational material. This is something that holds you back, okay? Until the day comes, you realize what's going on and you get the proper people around you. Getting the proper people around you is super important. You cannot go on YouTube thinking that that's going to solve all your problems. Get a mentor. Like I said before, the drumming scene is imploded onto itself because there's no gigs, you know. There's not a lot of gigs. There's not even jam sessions. In many places, there's no jam sessions where you can go see 5, 10, 15 great drummers a night and then like gauge yourself, rate yourself against fantastic players. That's like gone, okay? To be able to rate yourself against other players live, that is a humility, check that a lot of people need. That's why they put out this material thinking that they know something. Another syndrome is these guys that speak really well, that are intelligent, and they try to take this stuff and then rationalize it and twist it in a million different ways and use fancy language and make fancy videos. Walking down the street, hey, yeah, blah 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 blah. Man, where's the music? Where is the music? There's no music. There's just blah blah blah. Okay, there's a difference between intellectual, verbal ability and playing music. It's two different things. You don't get caught up in these guys that, oh, hey, blah, blah, blah. Play music. If they can't play music, they're not going to be able to deal with the whole system of drumming. The top pros start to realize what drumming is. And these guys, the very top guys, they're like innovating, but at the same time, they're in the same feedback loop, looking at this going, what is this completely useless for me, okay? Yeah, get back to the basics, right? Get back to the basics, but you're not going to tell, a top-tier player how to play a paradiddle. They already know. The basics, maybe for your motor skills, to keep in touch with the basics, but you're not going to teach somebody, how to play a paradiddle if you've never done a gig in your life, because paradiddle is a tool for music. It's not music, okay? There's a big difference. That's why I think, you have to be playing music for a long time before you teach. Don't teach if you've never done any gigs. Just look silly, okay? And, you have the famous Carrasca guy as proof, as living proof. Okay, so I hope you got something out of this. Now, when you're choosing who you want on your side, I recommend you have a look at my lesson site, the most innovative curriculum there is on the planet. It's not something that I just came up with in a few years. This has been going on forever, all right? All of this I know. And the most innovative systems come from having played and knowing what people need all over the world. And so you benefit from that knowledge in many different ways, okay? So I hope you enjoyed this video. You got something out of it. Don't write a book for money, okay? Go play, go make music. The end. Peace out.